Good evening, everyone, and welcome to this January 3rd, 2023 meeting of the Gallatin City Council. Welcome also to the brand new year. Happy New Year, everyone. We do have a special meeting tonight. We will be swearing in some new council members. We will be swearing in the mayor and a couple of existing council members again, and we will be saying goodbye to some council members. But we're going to begin this meeting like we do each of our meetings with the invocation. And this evening, we are honored to have with us our fire marshal and fire department chaplain, Mark Hall. If you would stand, and that will be followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. And I will ask Councilman Overton to lead us in the pledge this evening.
Thank you, Mayor and Council, for giving me the opportunity to pray in this year. Lord, we do thank you and praise you just for all that you do for us and the opportunities you give us each year, whether we're in the fire or police, EMS, whatever our services are to this community. Lord, we thank you for giving us those opportunities. We also lift up the mayor. We just want to pray that you'll give her a great year this year as she leads this city along with the council. We just pray that as a city, we'll make wise choices. And Lord, we'll just keep you in front of all that we do. Again, we just thank you for this great country you've given us. We thank you that you care for each one of us in this room. And Lord, again, we just love and praise you for all you do for us. In your precious holy name we pray. Amen.
Please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'll ask Ms. Kittrell to call the roll for us, please.
Vice Mayor Fennell.
here.
Councilman Alexander is absent. Councilman Fan. Councilwoman George.
Here.
Councilman Hayes. Councilwoman Love.
Here.
And Councilman Overton.
Here.
Mayor, we have a quorum.
We have one item of business before the oaths of office, which is the approval of the minutes from the December 6, 2022 Gallatin City Council
Motion
meeting.
approved.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Overton, second by Councilwoman Love. That's just so sad that that's the last time I'll be saying that. Motion and a second. Are there any additions or corrections requested? Seeing no one requesting any, all in favor of approving the minutes from December 6, 2022, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Minutes are unanimously approved. Before we begin the oaths of office, I'm going to say that this evening we say goodbye to two gentlemen who have served the city for many, many years. Councilman Alexander is not with us this evening, but I know that you value and appreciate the service that he has given to our city, and he will be missed. I am confident that we will see him around. I would ask that you say prayers for his family, and when you see him around, tell him thanks for his service. With us this evening is Councilman Jimmy Overton, who has served for 16 years here on the Gallatin City Council, and he decided that this year was going to be his, or last year, I guess technically was going to be his last. But I said earlier at the reception, I'll say it again for the benefit of all that are here. I've known him as long as he served on the council, and he's been such a champion of our city. I get teased about all the things that I show up for, but long before I was around, I think people were talking about, are there 4 Jimmy Overtons? Because he managed to be at every single thing that was going on in the city. Back when I was with the chamber, he was always the #1 volunteer. He was there when we started setting up, and he was there at the end of the evening when we were finished tearing down whatever event that we were having. So I just want Councilman Overton to know, and I want the public to know, that this is a man who loves the city of Gallatin. He has worked so hard for the city of Gallatin in numerous capacities, not just on this council, but in many volunteer capacities as well. So, Jimmy, I want you to know, we're really going to miss you, and we love you, and we appreciate you, and hope you have some good times where you're not filling with this every Tuesday night.
Thank you, Mayor. I appreciate it. It's been a real incredible honor for me to be able to serve the citizens of Gallatin for as many years as I have. Thanks to the wonderful, wonderful council and department heads, it's what makes our city what it is today. And I was just talking to Judge Thompson, you know, when I got on here years and years ago. It's been an incredible ride, and but I couldn't have done it by myself. It takes a mayor and a council that loves our city and is devoted and cares about our city the way each one of you all do. And the department heads, you know, we couldn't do what we do without you, and I appreciate it. You have always answered my phone calls. You've always been there, and you've always worked hard to solve whatever problems we've had. And to the citizens, thank you for allowing me to serve and to be here for the last 16 years. It's been a great honor. Thank you.
Thank you, Jimmy. I will ask too that, and I want you to know that we will keep you and your family in our prayers, and we intend to see you lots of times down the road. Thank you, Councilman Oates, please. At this time, we will begin our swearing-in ceremony. This evening, we will have oaths conducted by the Honorable Judge Barry Brown, General Sessions Court, retired, the Honorable Judge Joe Thompson, Circuit Court Judge, the Honorable Key Bryant McCormick is supposed to be here, I'm not sure if she is, also General Sessions Court Judge, and the Honorable Judge Ron Blanton with the General Sessions Court Judge. We will begin with the swearing-in of the mayor, followed by the council at large, followed by Council District 3, Council District 4, Council District 5, and then the city recorder and city judge. So at this time, and I'll kind of help conduct from the podium after this, but at this time, I'd ask the mayor's family to join me down there. On the floor, please, with Judge Brown.
Down the bottom, raise your right hand, and would repeat after me. I do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution and laws of the state of Tennessee, the charter and ordinance of the city of Gallatin, that I will faithfully and impartially perform and discharge the duties of the office of mayor, according to the law, to the best of my ability. Congratulations.
Councilman Steve Fan.
Oh.
The next is Council District 3, Mr. Pascal Juvance.
Raise your right hand and repeat after me. I do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution and laws of the state of Tennessee and the charter and ordinances of the city of Gallatin, and that I will faithfully and impartially perform and discharge the duties of the office of councilman according to the law, to the best of my ability. So help me God. Congratulations.
The next is Council District 4, Councilman Hayes.
Raise your right hand. I, Craig Hayes. Do solemnly swear or affirm. That I will support the Constitution of the United States. And the Constitution and laws of the state of Tennessee. And the charter and ordinances of the city of Gallatin. And that I will faithfully and impartially perform and discharge the duties of the office of councilman according to law. To the best of my ability. So help me God. Congratulations.
Now we have Council District 5, Mr. Stephen Carter.
And on the bottom, raise your right hand. Would repeat after me. I do solemnly swear. That I will support the Constitution of the United States. Constitution and laws of the state of Tennessee. The charter and ordinances of the city of Gallatin. I will faithfully and impartially perform and discharge the duties of the office of council. According to law. To the best of my ability. So help me God.
And finally, this evening, Judge Connie Kittrell.
I do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States, Constitution and laws of the state of Tennessee, Charter and ordinances of Gallatin, that I will faithfully and impartially perform and discharge the duties of the office of city recorder for the law, that's my ability, and God.
Okay, let me get a pen.
And welcome, Mr. Carter and Mr. Juvance. And welcome back to the rest of us. So now we are at the point of the meeting where we need to elect a vice mayor and a council representative to the planning commission. So the first item is the election of the vice mayor.
Mayor,
Yes.
I would like to nominate Linda Love as the next vice mayor.
Second.
Have a motion, and a second for Ms. Linda Love as vice mayor. Are there, do I take other nominations? Or are there any other nominations for vice mayor at this time? Okay, with none, if she's willing to accept, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, please say no. Congratulations, Vice Mayor Love.
I'm honored. Thank you all. I wish my daddy was here to see that.
I wish he were too, he'd be
He
proud.
is.
And thank you.
Oh, that
He
was,
is.
they both
is.
said he is, so absolutely. Mr. Homer's smiling down and is your son still here?
I think he went back to the fire department.
Oh,
I'm sure they're watching the meeting. All right,
well,
Chief.
well, bless him. Well, congratulations.
Thank you all.
Vice Mayor Love. And now we need to elect a council representative to the Planning Commission. It has been Councilman Overton, so he is no longer serving in that role. And
I'd like to make a motion, Eileen George.
I have a motion and a second for Councilwoman George. Are there any other nominations?
Mayor, no offense, Eileen.
No.
I did promise Pascal one time. I said, Pascal, if you ever get on the council, I'll nominate you for the planning commission. I nominate Pascal Javons.
Okay, I have a motion. Ladies and gentlemen, you know the protocol for the meeting. We're doing business at this time, so. So I have a motion for Mr. Juvance. Is there a second? Okay, Mr. Juvance has a second. So I have a motion and a second for Mr. Juvance as well. So I have any further nominations? Okay, so at this time,
You'll do a voice vote.
for each, well,
They
no.
can just say.
Yeah. Let's do a roll call vote and and you will name your selection for the planning commission. You would do it that way.
And the mayor votes.
Not for planning commission. They took that away several years ago, before me.
And so this we'll be voting for Councilwoman George first.
No, I think what we're going to do is do a roll call vote with each person naming their selection.
Okay, perfect. Councilman Carter,
Councilwoman George?
Councilman Fan,
Pardon me, what's the question?
Miss George or Mr. Juvon?
Councilwoman George.
Councilman Fennell,
Councilman Javance,
Councilwoman George,
Councilwoman George.
Councilman Hayes,
George?
Councilman Juvance, Councilwoman Love,
Eileen George.
Mayor.
Vote of 5-2 by my count. Okay. Well, Miss George, I'll be
Thank you
seeing you
very
at the
much.
planning commission meeting. so. Okay. Now we're going to move on, and this is for public recognition on agenda-related items. And we have a large crowd tonight that we typically don't have, so I'll explain a couple of things. We do have public recognition on agenda-related items at the beginning of the meeting. At the end of the meeting, we actually have public recognition on items that are not on the agenda. So if you have an issue you'd like to speak to that is on the agenda, you may do so at this time. We ask that you introduce yourself, that you give us your address, then you'll have 5 minutes to speak. Also, just want to tell you for future reference, we often will have public hearings within a meeting, and when we have those, you may also speak during that time, but specific to that public reading. But right now, it's public recognition on agenda-related items, and the floor is open if you would like to come speak. Okay. Okay, I see no one indicating that they're coming forward to speak on agenda-related items, so I'll declare public recognition at this time closed. And I will move on now to mayor's comments. And like I said, this evening is a very, very special evening. It's the start of the new year. It's the start of a new council. It's the start of a new term, certainly for this mayor. And I just want to say that I'm so honored to serve this community that I love, this city that I love, where I was born and raised, or where I was raised. I'm honored to work with the department heads. We have the best talent working for the city of Gallatin. And below the department heads in the city are employees who give of themselves in so many ways. I thought often over Christmas weekend, and I certainly want to say a huge thank you. We had so many employees who basically had to give up their entire holiday because of the weather. And they do this throughout the year. This just happened to fall on a very bad time. But I know that the department heads of those most affected departments could not say enough good things about their employees working, 40 hours in the space of 2 and 3 days to try and keep everyone safe within our community. And I tell you that because that's what the employees in the city of Gallatin do every single day, relevant to whatever their job is. There's some employees in the audience. Of course, the department heads are here. The citizens realize what a special workforce that we have in the city who represent the city in all that they do. And I think they are a big part of what makes our city special. So I want the employees to know that I certainly appreciate what they have contributed to make us the city that we are. When people talk about the city of Gallatin and it being the place that it is, I say, you know what, when it comes down to it, it's about the people. We're growing, we're changing, it's hard, but the people are what's going to help us retain our culture. And I believe strongly in us being the nicest place in America. And I think that's something that we have to work on every single day, and that it's up to every individual to perpetuate. That means when you meet somebody new, you help them, especially new to the community, you help them understand why we were named the nicest place in America, why we have the warm, welcoming culture that we do, and you ask them to help us carry that on for future generations. Because as our city grows, our key to retaining that small town charm, they say, is just that. So I thank you for the opportunity to continue serving in this role. I hope you know that I love doing what I do. I love the city. I love the people I work with, and I love the citizens of this community. And I will do my best to continue to do this job well. And I'm so looking forward to getting to work with you all for another 4 years here on the council. Some of you new, and certainly our department heads again. So thank you for your faith in me and all of us. And we will all continue to work hard for all of you. So I just wanted to say that at this point. I'm going to say we've got some events coming up I want you to know about. Tomorrow is the Coffee and Connect with the Gallatin Chamber of Commerce. I'm actually the speaker if you'd like to come out. It's from 8 to 9 at Stomping Grounds. Miss Nichols' birthday is coming up on the 9th. On the 16th, it's Martin Luther King Jr. Day. Of course, that's an official holiday. But also on that day is the Unity Day Parade and Program, and that happens at noon. It starts here at City Hall and goes to Gallatin High School. And then I also want to mention to you that on the 20th of January, there is a Good Morning Gallatin kickoff luncheon with Senator Bill Haggerty. That's at Northfield Church, and it is at 11 a.m. So I believe that's all that I have to share with you this evening. Beyond Happy New Year, and may 2023 be a happy, healthy, prosperous, and gentle year for us all. So now we will begin with our agenda. And so the first item on the evening's agenda is second reading on ordinance 02211-63. And for that, I'm going to recognize Councilman Fan.
Thank you, Mayor. This is the second reading on ordinance 02211-63, an ordinance of the City of Gallatin, Sumner County, Tennessee, rezoning two parcels totaling 10.10 acres plus or minus acres from the A Agricultural Residential District to the MU Mixed Use District with a preliminary master development plan for the Harris Lane condos located north of Harris Lane and east of Greenlee Boulevard, authorizing the revision to be indicated on the official zoning atlas, repealing conflicting ordinances, providing for severability, and providing for an effective date, zone -2. 00-0075, and I so move.
Second.
I have a motion by Councilman Fan, a second by Councilwoman George, opening the floor for discussion.
Mayor,
Mr. Schwab?
thank you. First, I want to thank everybody for being here tonight, and that would be great if every week we had this amount of people in a room. That will make a lot of things more easier. I have plenty of questions on that development. I read all the package. I've been there for a while now, so I've been following that development. Again, we're talking about 134 units, townhomes, and we asked for rezoning from agriculture to mixed use. My first question is why mixed use? Because if I look at the staff report said the plan does not incorporate mixed use elements. So I'm still new at that game, so I would like if we could let Bill McCord explain to me the difference between mixed use and residential on what I'm really interested in is open space and acreage.
Mr. McCord, if you would come forward and you might just point to what the various zoning options would be relevant to this property.
Okay, Bill McCord, city planner. Mixed use was selected because portions of the properties essentially surrounding this property are zoned mixed use. It has a general urban character area. Mixed use is a consistent zoning for that type of character area. Mixed use does not necessarily imply that every use that is identified as a permitted or conditional use in the mixed use zone it would be appropriate necessarily for this property. So the leverage that our zoning code gives to the planning commission and primarily to the city council for zoning actions is that you can select an appropriate types of use and exclude certain uses from various zoning districts if they're considered appropriate or create adverse impacts on adjacent properties or even the property being considered for zoning. So the planning commission has gone through and evaluated this proposal under the mixed use zoning, and multifamily is a permittable use in the mixed use zoning. So that is the only use, that and accessory use is the only use that is designated for this property with this zoning. Should the applicant decide not to pursue this project, the zoning would stand and they would have to present a new master plan for both the planning commission and the city council for consideration, which may include another mixed-use product or some other use that's allowed in the mixed-use zoning district.
What would be the alternatives? Because this has been an issue where, I mean, not in recent years so much, but from years past where someone had existing mixed-use zoning, and then they would come back and they'd say, well, we have mixed-use zoning, so we can do this. And of course, everybody by that time has kind of forgotten what the original.
I think we've had that a few times where, and we have some properties that have been zoned MRO that were created before 1998 that retain some
Right,
development rights.
that's
So
different.
MRO is a similar type of zoning. There are other zoning classifications like R6 and R8 that allow multifamily uses as well. They could have selected maybe a PRD, R8 or R6 zoning designation. In this case, because you have MU essentially up and down all of this section of Harris Lane, that would be more appropriate than to create a checkerboard pattern of various zoning districts.
Anyone else?
Thank you, Bill. Your staff, I honestly don't think it's a good development. The way I'm looking at it, it's just everything on top of each other, and we arrive on the same case that we have on Liberty Creek on the other side. I just look at that, basically. I know that made the MU on open space and all that stuff, but where is the open space? The open space is on a flood zone, and it's comprised by the retention pond. I think we need to do something here, work on the zoning ordinance, because for me, a retention pond, that's not open space, that's utilities. A road is not open space, it's utilities. The teeny backyard they have, it's not open space. It's part of what they have. We're gonna get on the same issue we have with the Liberty Creek development about, people are gonna have issue moving there, and like we seen in COVID where everybody got stuck inside, if hopefully not that happen again, where are the kids gonna play in that development? There is nothing. There is a small, was kind of ridiculous, space for kids who's on the TVA easement. So that's my main concern. And the other one is on parking again, because there is one parking garage unit plus a shared driveway. All right, shared driveway means that's going to have issues somewhere. We all nice, but we know what's happening when we share things where we have to put our cars. So that's the main concern I have. So I think stuff should be done there. I don't think it's good there. I know the owner already made an offer to the adjacent property to buy 20 more acres. So if we rezone that to MU and let him build that, I know that in 6 months we're going to see the same thing arriving on the other side. And if you look at the numbers, this 134 units going to bring 752 daily trips on that road. I drive on that road. I use it. That road cannot support that. Plus, we already have a building, commercial building approved nearby, so that's going to bring more. There is no plan to widen that road. How are we going to do that? That's my concern. There's plenty of staff approved there. They are the only agricultural there. I agree with Bill. The rest is on MU, but look at the bird eye view. They are individual properties. and on the back, it's a farm. So we're gonna build that there, that doesn't fit there. I'm sorry, that's what I think. So I will vote no for that.
Anyone else wish to speak to this? Okay, we will vote. This is second reading on ordinance 02211-63. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, please say no.
No.
Has a 6-1, and it does pass. Item number 2 is first reading from the second amended ordinance 02205-20. And I had not considered the fact that Mr. Fennell had not been voting on this, so I'm going to ask Ms. George to take this, please.
This is an ordinance amending Gallatin Municipal Code, Charter, Chapter 3, Alcoholic Beverages. I so move.
And with that, Ms. Macaulay.
Second.
Yes, and I just want to say, if you will look on your desk, what was actually placed in your packet, Mayor nor I were here last week, and was placed in your packet was the original ordinance amending Chapter 3. And so what this ordinance is actually doing, what council directed at the last meeting, was to make 2 amendments. It's section 3-52E and 3-55B in the municipal code relative to retail liquor store certificates of compliance and the location. Specifically, council wanted the applicants to appear before them when Ms. Kittrell brings those for approval. And so we've changed that language, as you'll see in E, to require that, and also to change the location to restrict it with a 1-mile radius of an existing or approved retail liquor store, rather than a 1 mile to be measured from the shortest drivable distance. So now it's just a 1-mile radius, which is what council had directed at our last meeting.
Smiling at Mr. Boyd in the audience because we discussed that at length at one point, and I'm glad that we finally got there because I like that. Does anybody have any questions about this? Okay, so what you're actually voting on and what your motion, Ms. George, and your second, Mr. Hayes, applies to is the ordinance that is on your desk for first reading, if y'all are both good with that.
And that is ordinance number 02301-7.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
I would like a motion to defer.
I'm sorry?
I would like a motion to defer because I can't vote on something I haven't studied. So that just been placed on the desk. I need time to read it and make sure I agree with it.
All right, well,
Second that.
can we have a motion and a second to defer? Okay, all in favor of deferring, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no.
No.
Abstain.
So we will go on and consider it. This was what was discussed at the work session, in those 2 items specifically. And it was, on that work session, and then this is what has come forward at this time. I have no level of discomfort with it because, while one of the things I agree with and one I'm not incredibly thrilled with, well, y'all know how I feel. Y'all heard me talk enough about the having more liquor stores, but I'm comfortable with this having been discussed and being vetted at a previous meeting. So, with that, questions, comments related to it by anyone? Okay. So this is going to be ordinance 02301-7. I will ask all in favor to say aye.
Aye.
Opposed to say no.
Abstain. I can't vote on it.
Abstain.
Yours was a no? Okay, so I have 1, 2, 3, 4 yeses. Ms. George, Vice
Yes.
Mayor Love,
Yes.
Councilman Hayes, and Councilman Carter, all are yes. Councilman Fennell and Councilman Joubert are abstaining, and Councilman Fan is a no. Everyone agree with that?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so it does pass. Moving now to first reading on ordinance 02212-67, Vice Mayor Love.
No, we,
Oh, I skipped one, I'm sorry. Man, I'm doing great tonight. Okay, it's first reading on ordinance 02212-66. Councilwoman George.
thank you, Mayor. This is an ordinance appropriating $36,943.33 from revenue received from insurance for damaged vehicle. I so move.
Second.
Motion by Councilwoman George, second by Councilman Fennell. Is there any discussion? Okay, this is first reading on ordinance 02212-66. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, please say no. Does pass unanimously. Item 4 is first reading on ordinance 02212-67. Vice Mayor Love, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. This is an ordinance appropriating $58,675 from revenue received by sale of surplus vehicles for vehicle replacement. I so move.
Second.
Okay, this motion by Vice Mayor Love, second by Councilman Fan, opening the floor for discussion.
What department was that, Mayor?
I think
More
this
than
was the
one?
one for Parks and Recreation. This, oh, it's
Don's?
for Donna. Oh, for the police department, okay. Yeah, the parks one. came through. Yes.
Okay.
Any other questions? Okay. This is first reading on ordinance 02212-67. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Passes unanimously. Item 5 is first reading on ordinance 02212-68. Vice Mayor Love, we're recognized again.
This is an ordinance waiving certain construction-related fees for the Sumner County Courthouse and parking garage, which includes the plan review fees and building permit fees, and I so move.
Second.
I got a question on that.
Motion by Vice Mayor Love, second by Councilwoman George. You may ask your question, Councilman Fan.
Okay. Are these fees waived for subcontractors or
No.
the primary contractor?
Mr. Stewart can speak to it more if you like. These are the plan review fees, the permits, but not for the subcontractors, because in our discussions, we realized that the bids that were provided to the county should have included those fees, should have accounted for those fees. And so we've agreed, or we're asking you all to agree to, you want to speak to it further, Mr.
Chuck
Stewart?
Stewart, building official. The fees that we're waiving are the plan review fees for both building codes and for the planning review fees. Nothing for subcontractors and the building permit, but no inspection fees and no subcontract fees.
Thank you.
Do we have a number
Does include the general.
approximately?
I know off the top of my head, I have to look it up.
In the ordinance. Yeah, it's in the ordinance. It's the general contractor fees, but not so the inspections for the general contractors, I think we're supposed to be waiving. It was the subcontractors. that
Exactly.
were not.
There was a discussion last session about putting a cap on that. I kind of agree because we've seen what happened with the first, they came back and asked for more money.
Well, and what we
The
did.
ball got dropped. So if that happened again, what's going to happen? I think we should put a cap on what we're going to waive.
I'm not opposed to that, but I also don't want to get sideways with the county in any way. But just for reference on that additional $600,000, the way that is written is if the costs go up. So if the costs do not go up, and I read an article in the paper that they're hoping they're not going to, so in which case we would not be paying that, but we have certainly demonstrated that we will if the need is there. And the same with these fees. We've estimated the fees, but it's hard to know what those might be, or even what a good cap might.
I'd have to really look, we got so many projects going on that
Now,
we're
this is-
involved in. I can't keep them all track in my head.
I know, it's a lot to ask.
Be glad to get back to you with those numbers.
I'm sorry.
After the first of the year, county mayor said that fees were going to start increasing as well.
Oh, okay. Well, I think we can go ahead and pass on. My suggestion is going to be to go ahead and pass on first reading. Let Mr. Stewart evaluate what he thinks a reasonable cap might be. It's, again, from newspaper article I read, my understanding is they are proceeding with the construction of the garage at this point.
That's our understanding. We've released the plans and, ready for them to start construction if engineering and
So-
planning's through with them, so.
So we are passing these to provide them further validation of everything that we have committed to. You know, like I've told Mayor Isbell several times, we've been fully committed from the beginning. We've done everything that we thought we were supposed to be doing, and we are doing this, you know, to satisfy our commitment, because our commitment will be far beyond us waiving the fees, which was not what was discussed in the very beginning, but we agreed to work on that, and so that's what we're doing here. So if we pass on first reading this evening, and I'm not telling anybody how to vote, but if it passes first reading tonight, Mr. Stewart can evaluate between now and second reading, and he may come back with a suggestion or what he thinks the total
Plan review
total
fees,
cost to the city may be.
excuse me, plan review fees and building permit fees are a fixed fee. It is what it is once the building comes in. Those fees are not gonna move. They're what they are, what they're gonna be.
I put motion to defer until we get the full number and we can figure out the cap issue.
Motion to defer, I am worried about deferring because I want. I know that Mayor Isbell saying that we'll take it once we pass it.
We already have a first and second.
We have a first and a second, but he can make a motion to defer. So we have a motion to defer. Motion dies for lack of a second. We'll go back to the original motion. I think, again, I'll reiterate, I think it's fine to evaluate between now and second reading to see if y'all might want to consider a cap with some kind of recommendation. But regardless, I feel like this needs to keep moving along, whatever it will be.
I brought up having a cap on it the last
Somebody
meeting.
did. I didn't know who. I didn't remember who it
That's
was.
not a bad idea, but I still feel like that we need to affirm to the county that we're still strong and dedicated on this. And I do agree with what you said about keeping a good relationship.
I don't know. I mean, I have no idea what, I don't know what, you know, if we're talking about $1 million in fees or if we're talking, and so that's kind of what I would like Mr. Stewart to think about and evaluate with the information he has. But like I said, it's kind of hard to tell what the fees are gonna wind up being because depending on how many things they do over and changes, that just is pretty fluid.
Maybe he could give us an idea by next meeting.
Or at the work session. You want me to put on the next work session?
I would agree with that.
Yeah. But we will consider it on first reading this evening. So any further questions, comments?
We are saying that we are going to get a cap or come up with a cap number of an approximate figure. that we
I'm
can consider.
I'm asking that Mr. Stewart think about what might be a reasonable cap. But it will be up to you all on second reading to change it and add a cap if you think it's the right thing to do. And between now and then, I can certainly have discussions with Mayor Isbell
Sure.
about what we're thinking, so. So this is first reading on ordinance 02212-68. I'll ask all in favor to please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed to say no. Okay, it does pass first reading unanimously, and I will add it to the work session. Moving now to item number 6, which is first reading on ordinance 02212-69. Councilman Fan is recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. This is the first reading on ordinance number 02212-69. This is an ordinance of the City of Gallatin, Sumner County, approving a preliminary master development plan for Primrose, a child care facility on 3.91 plus or minus acre portion of a parcel, PO Tax Map 125, parcel 19.00, located north of State Route 386 and east of Greenlee Boulevard, authorizing the revision to be indicated on the office zoning atlas, official, not office, I'm sorry, repealing conflicting ordinances, providing for severability, and providing for an effective date, and I so move.
Second.
I have a motion by Councilman Fan, a second by Councilwoman George. Opening the floor for any discussion. None. This is first reading on ordinance 02212-69. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, please say no. First reading on ordinance 02212-69 passes unanimously. Item number 7 is first reading on ordinance 02212-70. Councilman Hayes.
Yeah, this is an ordinance of the City of Gallatin, Tennessee, approving a preliminary master development plan for Station Commons on 3 parcels totaling 31.57 acres located east of Big Station Camp Boulevard, south of Highway 386, and north of the CSX Railroad, authorizing the revision to be indicated on the official zoning atlas, repealing conflicting ordinances, providing for severability, and providing for an effective date. Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Hayes, second by Councilman Fan, and open for discussion.
Mayor, I got a lot of people approaching me about that development. They like the idea of the commercial space. Was great because we need more commercial, but a lot of people have concern about the access to that. There is really nothing in the packet about what they plan to do about traffic there. So I would like to have a little more information before I can decide what I can do with that. And discrepancy on parking space. The staff comments are pretty good. Engineering division comment and other department comments say that owner applicant address most of the comments except those included as condition of approval. So something I found out all this year that we approve things before stuff is done. Well, I think we do something on the wrong order. I would like to see everything addressed before we could vote on it because we know how that goes. So that's.
Anyone else with comments? First reading on ordinance 02212-70. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, please say no.
No.
Vote of 6-1, it does pass. Item number 8 is first reading on ordinance 02301-2. Councilman Fennell.
Thank you, Mayor. This is an ordinance amending Article 3, Section 1 of the City of Gallatin, Tennessee Charter as established in Chapter 67 of the Private Acts of 1953 and is amended thereafter to delete the restrictions of the governing body serving in other appointed public offices. Motion to approve.
A motion by Councilman Fan, second by, I'm sorry. Motion by Councilman Fennell, second by Vice Mayor Love. You know it's going to take me a while to get all that right, right? So a motion and a second, opening the floor for discussion. And Ms. Hamacali does have.
Mayor, if I could, the ordinance that was placed in your packet had a typo in the 4th whereas clause. So I have put an updated ordinance on your desk, and it just corrected a typo that was in the 4th whereas clause. Nothing of substance was changed.
So the correct one is the one that is on your desk. Correct. And you all are both, motion and second are both okay with that. And so now we can discuss the consideration of it. I know that you're aware, Mr. Juvance, but Mr. Carter, you may not know this, the conflict that had come up, that we were unaware of its existence because it was within our charter and within, with state law, and we had been doing something for years that we thought we were required to do, and it was actually in conflict. And so we're trying to correct that. And to change, we have to actually go to the state legislature. They have to approve it, and it has to come back to us. So that's what we're trying to do with these next 2 items. So. Anyone? Anyone else? Okay, this is first reading on ordinance 02301-2. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Does pass unanimously. Item number 9 is first reading on ordinance 02301-6. Councilman Fan.
Thank you, Mayor. This is first reading on ordinance number 0201-6, amending Article 6, Section 2A, Article 7, Section 1, and private acts of 1953, and as amended thereafter to add the city recorder to the list of officers that the city of Gallatin, and add that the city recorder shall be appointed by the city council. Article 7, and to delete that the city recorder shall preside over the city court, and to delete all other mention of the city recorder in Section 1 and Section 2, and add that a city judge shall be appointed. Article X, I so move.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Fan, second by Councilman Hayes. Ms. Macaulay.
Yes, this is an ordinance to amend our charter that was discussed at the last meeting, and it is placed on your desk. It does everything that we discussed at the last meeting, that and I'll kind of go through it with you. The first change is going to be in Article 6, Section 2A, and it's amended by updating the title of officers in the Information Technology and Parks and Recreation Department, and adding the title of city recorder to the list of public officers appointed by city council. And the reason for that, when our charter was initiated years ago, and then through amendments, those two departments, well, the IT department was not in existence, and the Parks and Rec Department was titled Leisure Services. And the city has since changed that. And so since we are changing this, I'm just updating that. And so the first sentence in the amended charter would read, officers, the city council shall appoint the following public officers: chief information officer, city attorney, city engineer, city planner, city recorder, director of codes, director of human resources, director of parks and recreation, finance director, fire chief, police chief, superintendent of public utilities, and superintendent of public works. The remaining sentences of section 2A shall not be altered or changed. So those are your department heads that the city council appoints. And then the second amendment will be in Article 7, Section 1, and it's amended by deleting the section in its entirety and replacing it with the following. And that particular section formerly dealt with the election of the city recorder. And so now it just reads, be it further enacted that the city recorder shall be appointed by city council and have the powers and duties as set forth in this charter and any further enactment of the governing body. And then the next is in Article 10, Section 1, 2, and 5. All of those sections deal with city court, and we are changing the way that that will be handled. The city recorder will no longer preside over city court, and we are deleting city recorder from all of those sections. And so it will read, Article 10, Section 1 shall be deleted in its entirety and replaced with the following. It's a little long, so bear with me. Section 1, city judge, appointment, qualifications, and jurisdiction. Be it further enacted that there shall be a city court presided over by a city judge appointed by the city council. The city judge shall be a licensed attorney, have the qualifications, term of office, if any, and receive the compensation the city council may provide by ordinance. The city judge shall have jurisdiction in and over all cases for the violation of and offenses against and in all cases arising under the laws and ordinances of the city of Gallatin and such other jurisdiction, and is conferred by the general laws of the state. The city judge shall have the authority to administer oaths and affirmations, to take depositions, and to impose fines and collect such fees as set forth and permitted by the laws of the state. In the event of the continuous absence of or disability of the city judge for more than 1 week, which is 7 days, the mayor shall appoint a licensed attorney practicing in Sumner County to hold the city court during such absence or period of disability. Said judge pro tem shall be empowered with all the authority and jurisdiction granted the city judge under the charter and shall be reasonably compensated for services rendered in said office. And then Article 10, Section 2, shall delete all reference to city recorder and replace those references with city judge, such that the amended section reads as follows. Section 2, city judge's authority to find and preserve order. The city judge shall have power and authority to impose fines, costs, and forfeitures, and to punish by fine all violations of the city ordinances and municipal code, to enforce order in city court, and to enforce the collection of all such fines, costs, and forfeitures imposed by the city court. Section 5, Article 10, deletes all references to city recorder and replaces those with city judge, and it will read as follows now. Section 5, no fees for arresting officers, city judge to certify all fines. Be it further enacted that the city judge shall allow no fees to any arresting officer and shall certify to the chief of police for collection of all fines, costs, and forfeitures imposed for offenses against the laws and ordinances of the city, provided no fines, costs, or forfeitures shall be collected by any officer until certified as due the city by the city judge. So in Article 10, all we're doing is replacing basically city recorder with city judge, and the substance of everything else is the same. And then just for everyone to understand, the ordinance will have no effect unless it shall receive final approval within the time required by law by a 2/3 vote of the City of Gallatin, of the City, Gallatin City Council after passage by the Tennessee General Assembly. And that's how the mayor was explaining earlier, that after we pass it, it goes to the General Assembly and then it comes back for us for final passage.
How long could that take?
Hopefully by late spring, we'll have it back from them. You know, their session generally goes until April, maybe May. But once it comes back to us, then we'll be able to do that. Again, for you guys' reference, this doesn't affect anything as it is now. Ms. Kittrell is elected to her position and she will maintain that position for the next 4 years. So this is so that change can happen in the future, so. Questions?
Yeah. I don't think the motion got, I don't think it went to the motion before opening the floor.
I have Fan and a second by Hayes.
Oh, okay, sorry. Like you say, Mayor, we are not in a hurry because Connie got elected for 4 years, and I think if people were able to elect the city recorder, people should be able to decide if they want to change that. So that's a big change. I think that should go to a referendum at the next election. Let the people choose if they want that change, because I think same thing, a judge should be elected and not nominated. So go next election, put it on a referendum, let people decide, because Connie is there for 4 years. So why not do that? Why don't let our citizens decide? And if they decide we can make the change, we still have 2 years to send it to the legislature and change it.
As long as our charter exists as it does, should anything change, say you retire next week, we are bound by this.
I
And
know.
being bound by having a judge who is not an attorney could be very, very difficult for the city of Gallatin, as could having a recorder who does not have the experience. Ms. Kittrell has been here a long time. She started when the city was much smaller. She is an expert, but there are not people in the city of Gallatin that could run for office and know how to do the job or to
So
do
if,
it with.
if Ms. Kittrell, I hope not, because I think you're doing a fantastic job, but decide to retire tomorrow, you're gonna nominate somebody. Yes, Mayor?
It would have to go, we would still be bound by this, and the council would actually install someone, I guess, to the next general election. But they would,
Exactly. So at that point,
Well, no,
we
but-
can choose somebody, somebody who's totally competent.
But it doesn't, if it goes on the ballot, it doesn't require that a judge be an attorney because of how it currently reads. And I just think there are a lot better ways to structure it as we grow and change and
Can
have
put that on the
requirements per
ballot.
position. Pardon me.
Can put it on the ballot. That can be part of what you put on the ballot that, and let the people choose. I think people should be able to choose big changes like that.
I just look at what other cities do, and I don't consider it a big change. I consider it something that we are doing really based on the size of our city to improve our operations and the expertise required of that position.
I look-
Again, Ms. Kittrell has gained over many years, but is not a set of skills and competencies that most people would have. So.
It's Kittrell started from
Okay,
0
thank
to,
you,
so.
Thank you. So this is first reading on ordinance 02301-6.
okay.
Is there anyone else wishing to comment?
I'm done.
Else? Okay, all in favor of first reading on ordinance 02301-6, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, please say no.
No.
Passes 6-1. Item number 10 is resolution R2212-84. Councilwoman George.
Thank you, Mayor. This is a resolution approving reclassification of the facility and equipment supervisor position in the Parks and Recreation Department. I so move.
Second.
Motion by Councilwoman George, second by Vice Mayor Love. Is there any discussion?
I'm just curious, and David, I apologize. I'm sure you briefed me on this, but Paige, what are we actually doing here?
Brown or Ms. Flood on this?
David, or Ms. Flood, Ms. Flood.
Had a situation where the mechanic position
I
went
remember.
to mechanic 1, 2, and 3. And David brought it to me later after we passed things, where we have a gentleman in that role. But now he's at the same grade as the supervisor, so we need to make adjustment.
I understand. I remember it now. Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, this is resolution R2212-84. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Does pass unanimously. Item 11 is resolution R2212-87. Councilman Hayes.
It is a resolution approving an indemnity and hold harmless agreement with a certificate of liability insurance to use the city-maintained right-of-way, once constructed and accepted by the city, of Kennesaw Boulevard, Horseshoe Circle, Nelson Street, Anson Street, Minnick Way, East Thornberry Street, Sable East Street, Strotman Street, and Greyhound Road in the paddock of Kennesaw Farms Phase 1 subdivision for the installation and maintenance of street trees. Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Hayes, second by Councilman Pan. Is there any question? Are there any questions or is there any discussion? Appreciate them wanting to do this. This is resolution R2212-87. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Passes unanimously. Item 12 is resolution R2301-1. Vice Mayor Love.
Thank you. This is a resolution restating the City of Gallatin's commitment to the Sumner County Courthouse parking garage as follows. Number one, the City of Gallatin is financially committed to date in the total amount of $4,007,235.50 for the construction of the courthouse parking garage, the widening of Smith Street to accommodate the Sumner County Courthouse, and the waiver of plan review fees and building permit fees for Sumner County and its general contractor associated with the initial construction of the Sumner County Courthouse and parking garage. And two, the City of Gallatin is committed to continuing its partnership to work with and assist Sumner County in seeing to fruition of the completion of the Sumner County Courthouse and parking garage. I so move.
Second.
Motion by Councilwoman Love, second by, Vice Mayor Love, second by Councilwoman George. Any questions, any discussion?
Can we get an update on what's going on Smith Street? Where are we with that?
McCauley, there's nothing to report. I guess engineering is working through the process of right-of-way acquisition.
Mr. Tuttle, is Mr. Tuttle here?
Here.
I think that we're still working on the right-of-way acquisition.
Good evening. Yes, we're still in the middle of right-of-way acquisition. We've essentially 4 different property owners with the multiple properties that are there. We have had one of those property owners agree to an offer, and we're scheduling closing, but the others we're still working through. So hopefully, in the next few months, we'll be able to have right-of-way completed, and we can move forward and bid the project. But you never know with right-of-way. You run into speed bumps all the time, so hopefully we can get it done quickly, though.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you,
Tuttle.
Nick.
Any other questions? This is Resolution R2301-1. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Passes unanimously. That concludes the regular agenda and brings us now to other business. If any member of this council has any other business they'd like to bring forward, they may do so at this time.
Yes, Mayor. I know, it's me again. So last week with the issue we had with the weather, we got blackout, we got gas issues. So I would like to see if we can put on the next meeting to have GPU and electric come and give us an idea of where we are and what did that happen. Because people were unhappy with what was going on.
You can make a motion to put on the work session, but I think they're both going to tell you it happened because we had below 0 temperatures and it happened throughout the country where they had similar weather issues. I think
Yeah,
we
but that's
actually
gonna-
fared fairly well.
I'm pretty sure, temperature have that to do, but I would like to hear from
And
the expert.
I'll
So I would
take-
like to make a motion to
If you would, please.
get the GPU, give us a picture of what happened, and electric department too on the blackout and the issue we had with the gas.
Well, the blackout, I mean, I can tell you right now about the blackouts. That was a TVA ordered solution to all of the systems where they had to reduce it. First, it was by 5% and then by 10%. And I think Gallatin actually fared far better than a lot of communities because we were able to focus our rolling blackouts in our industrial area. It did affect some residences, but there are many residences in the city of Gallatin that never lost power. So I think that was a TVA order reduction in usage.
Yeah, we lost power 8 times, so.
I
Thanks.
can attest to owning some property in Clay County that it happened 3 times more than it did here.
I know that at my house, we never did, and several other houses that I'm aware of, but I know that there were some parts of town that did lose it. I think the 8 times is unusual, but are you on Gallatin Electric? You're on Cumberland Electric, I believe.
No,
You're on Gallatin Department of Electricity out there? Yeah, I wasn't aware of any on that side of town. That may have been a different issue.
and gas, I know you guys had issue with gas back there, of what I saw online and the amount of
But anyway, I was
complaints.
just going to fill you in on the
Yes,
TVA
ma'am, I should-
mandate because, I mean, when we are served by TVA, we have to do what they ask. And I know that it was really agonizing for Mr. Kimball and for all of his employees. Have a motion, is there a second to ask for them to come and report on the weather?
Not the weather, the issue we had.
Okay, Mr. Johans, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Um,
What do you want to know? Great.
Already know.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that they would be happy to speak with you if you
Oh,
would like to
I
call and
will, for
discuss.
sure.
Yeah, just call them, they'll be happy to make an
And I
appointment and
will-
talk to you about
I
it.
will let the people know at the next
Is
council.
there anything else from that this council would like to bring forward at this time? Yes, Ms. Kitchell.
Mayor, I have a retail liquor store
Okay.
that has, that I need this body to deny. They have not met the requirements of the city. They did not meet the mile requirement. And the IT department also, they do the mileage for me through the GIS program. They did it the old way with the shortest distance of driving, and they also did the 1 mile radius. And they did not meet the 1 mile requirement. So I just need this body to deny this. I will tell you, it is called Gas and Go. It's located at 511 East Main Street, what we have known as the Triangle, kind of, and, mhm.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Hayes, second by Councilwoman George. Any questions? All in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Abstain.
And one abstention. Six approvals to deny and one abstention. Ms. Kitchell, anything else from you? Okay. I do have a reminder just for this council, that you do need, I'm just reminding you because I'm thinking of it, Tennessee Ethics Commission, you need to file your statement of interest, or just call a disclosure of interest or whatever. I don't know what the deadline is on that. I've done mine, but I think it's like the 9th or something like that. And then also, any council member that was elected this last term, you will have requirements for your utility management, because you manage Gallatin Public Utilities. And so you'll have to complete those hours. Anything else in other business from this council?
Wait, what was the second thing you said? Complete hours for what?
A few years ago, the state of Tennessee started requiring any essentially board members of a utility, a public utility, to undergo mandatory training. And can't tell you exactly how the hours break down. I think your initial term it's 6 hours, and then maybe 4 hours every consecutive term or every year or something like that. But so you'll have to get those 12 hours, and you can take them online or you can attend a training or whatever. But that just, you are considered a board member of a utility because you serve on this council, and Gallatin Public Utilities falls under the purview of this body, so. Yeah, the MTS Elected Officials Academy, you're able to get a lot of hours through that. There's also online training that you can take through the comptroller's office. Okay, anyone else with other business? All right. We'll move on now to public recognition on non-agenda related items. I'll remind you that if there's an item that was not on this evening's agenda that you'd like to speak to, now's your time. You have 5 minutes. We ask that you introduce yourself again. I see no one jumping up to speak, so I'll declare public recognition on non-agenda related items closed. And we have one final motion this evening. Adjourned by Councilwoman George. Second?
Yes.
By Councilman Fennell. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Ladies and gentlemen, again, Happy New Year to you all. Have a good evening. Stay safe, be kind. Good night.